another episode of Thriving Thursdays with Alexandria Nicole. I am your host and proprietor, Alexandria Nicole. So, if you're new here, our podcast is meant to inspire and inform listeners by featuring intimate interviews and conversations with successful professionals, business owners, and thought leaders. So, our podcast aims to share stories and insights and strategies to help you thrive in your own careers and ventures. Each episode provides valuable advice and actionable tips that you can apply to achieve your own goals and succeed in your own fields. So we're brought to you by our national community of business owners, professionals, and creatives. Elevate your growth. So today we have co-founder of GWP Murals, that stands for Girls Who Paint, and master muralist Allison Dunavant. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for having me and giving me the opportunity to talk about what I do for a living and making art my profession. It's something, I'm really passionate about, and it's one of those, career fields that isn't always, seen with the same professionalism and career status as other things. So I'm always excited to talk about that with people.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's such an honor to have you. And I tell you, I completely appreciate your art, and I'm a huge fan. You do such beautiful work along with your co-founder. I'm so excited to talk about it today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So where did you grow up? Let's start there.
Yeah, so I am from South Carolina, and I obviously am still in South Carolina, based in Charleston, but I'm from North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So I grew up there, and then I went to USC in Columbia. And then my twin sister was here in Charleston, and I was like, I want to be back by the beach. So it was a no-brainer. After finishing grad school and getting my MFA in studio art, I decided to make the move to Charleston.
Oh, I love that. So how old were you when you decided to go to Charleston?
I finished grad school in 2018. I think I was 23 at the time. And then I moved to Charleston in 2019, so maybe like 24. And I'm now about to be 31. So I've been here for a minute, and I love it.
I absolutely love Charleston too. So you said you're a twin. I didn't know that about you. So what was it like growing up? Was it a very artistic household? How was it for you?
Yeah, so it was actually like not a very artistic household. My parents have always been so supportive of the arts and encouraging me to do my art. But they definitely were more in the like sports kind of mindset. So that's what they knew. So they were like, what do we do with this child that like isn't like how we are? But it was great growing up with having a twin, especially because we always had this like inherent sense of competition between the two of us. It was healthy competition, but we definitely, made each other better by like supporting the other one. I'm like, oh, I can get a better grade than you. I can do this. If you're going to grad school, I'm going to grad school. So it was always this like kind of boost each other up type, mentality between us. And, I'm so thankful for that because, if she hadn't gone to grad school, I don't think I would have gone to grad school. And, she just pushed me. I was like, she can't be a doctor and then I don't have a master's degree or something.
Well, I love that you had kind of a built-in accountability buddy, didn't you?
Yes, for sure.
Oh my goodness. So is your sister, is she artistic as well, or did she choose
No.
a career path?
Yeah, so she's a physical therapist in the area, and she is very into like sports, working out, that kind of thing. She does not really do anything artistic, like painting, drawing type stuff. She does write some poetry, which is really interesting that her creativity kind of manifested that direction. But no one else in my family does any like painting or drawing or more traditional art forms.
Yeah, so hers manifested in words and yours manifested in visuals.
Yeah.
Cool. I love that. Oh my goodness. So when you're growing up and you're in school, did you always know that you wanted to be a business owner? Is that something that happened over time?
It definitely happened over time. Like this was never my intended career path at all. It's something that I would say I fully stumbled into. Yeah. So I got my MFA in 2018, and then I was like, what do I do now? Like I was like, I'm going to go into academia and I'm going to teach. But there's no like direct path to being, a full-time professor. You have to adjunct and, you're working part-time, barely making any money. And I tried that and I was like, I don't want to be poor forever. I don't want to like, do this career path where I don't feel successful. I don't feel fulfilled because I'm teaching someone else's, lesson plans and stuff. I have to have another job because I'm, not making the money that I want. And then I started working in banking of all things. I was like, I need a stable career path. Forget art. I'm done with art. And then I tried that, and I was like working as a relationship banker. And it was just such a soul suck for me, just sitting in an office, staring out the window, being like, please let me outside.
Yeah.
Today, I had this moment where I was like, I'm going to try to be self-employed because I can't sit and clock in and clock out another day. Like, this is miserable. So I just left on my lunch break and did not come back. I was like, hey, I'm quitting. I can't do this.
Yeah.
My parents, they'd always really been supportive of the whole idea of self-employment. My dad, he owns a plumbing company, which is totally different than muraling, but he's a contractor, and that's what I'd consider myself in a lot of ways. And he was always like, you could get into doing art in a self-employed manner. And I never thought about doing murals specifically. Just like whatever type of art I can get my hands on that'll make me money. I don't care what it is. So I pet portraits, regular portraits, literally anything. Like, I would draw it. I did not care. And then COVID happened, and I was like, let me make like this fake portfolio of murals. Let me do some for free for business owners just to get my name out there.
Yes.
So I did that, and like it eventually kind of like picked up. I was still doing some stuff where I was like just regular side commissions. And then I met my business partner through Instagram, actually. And I had a project come up, and we needed it done in 3 days. And it was a client, it was a marketing firm for a mural in Hilton Head at the Boys and Girls Club. And they were like, we don't care what the budget is. Like, you tell us the price, we'll pay it, but it needs to be done in 3 days. And I was like, that is possible. So I contacted Christine, my business partner, who I met on Instagram. And I was like, I know we've never met before, but will you come to Hilton Head and help me on this project? And we just worked so well together that, we started doing everything with one another, and it made us really efficient. It allowed us to have different styles. It allowed us to kind of divide and conquer with like how we approach our clients, what we can bring to the table. And then it just kind of pigeonholed itself naturally into being only murals. So I never really intended to be self-employed. I never really intended to do murals. It just kind of, that's just the way it went. And now I can't see it any other way.
Oh my gosh. And I love that. I really admire murals so much because initially it's this blank canvas, and then the fact that you're working with someone else. So that's like, it's a synergy thing, right? Like, you have to be on the same design with concept and color and layout and the initial sketching and the color patterns for you to have found a partner off of Instagram, no less. that beautifully. That is sensational.
Yeah, it's really wild. Like, people always tell us, they're like, how do you guys paint the same mural and make the designs and it looks like one person painted it and not, two separate artists? And I'm like, I have no idea how we did that. It just kind of like, I always joke that we've like morphed into the same person because of working alongside each other so much. But, Christine, when I first met her, she wasn't doing any like murals. She was doing murals on her own, but she wasn't doing any that had like any realistic components where anything was like shaded. It was very two-dimensional graphic design style. And I wasn't doing graphic design style stuff because I hate painting letters and like very, I don't know, just flat painting. So we both like kind of taught each other a lot through that collaboration. And she's grown tremendously in the years that I've worked with her. And like now she tackles, spray painting and blending and painting things realistic. So it's definitely like a give and take, and we feed off each other a lot in terms of growth.
Oh, I love that. So I know that now your letters aren't your favorite things to do. So what is your favorite? What just fills you up when you know you're going to get a specific kind of project?
Yeah, so we love when we get creative freedom projects, but that is rarely the case because we're so client-based with our work, which is something that I think like allows us to be so successful as a business. Is that we always say our niche is that we have no niche. We're very much willing to adapt to what the client wants. If the client brings an idea, we're like, we love it, we'll paint it. But when I have freedom, I love doing portraiture and animals. Like, I love painting birds, faces, flowers, that kind of thing is probably my favorite thing to paint.
And is it a combination of spray painting and brush and other elements that I probably aren't even privy to?
Yeah, so it's definitely a combination of like bucket paint. That's what we call it. It's the same paint you paint the exterior of your house with. And then spray paint, which is also exterior acrylic latex. We love spray painting whenever we can because it's so much faster and it gives you more of like a photorealistic effect, as well as, for difficult surfaces like brick or stucco or something very textured, it allows you to get into the grooves and stuff really quickly and seamlessly. So we love doing a little combo.
That's so cool. So what would you say? So there's this point where you're just like, I can't go back to the office, to where you are committed to painting and expressing yourself artistically. What was that pivotal moment, that pivotal opportunity where you were like, I can do this? What was that moment for you?
So I don't know if I would say that I ever had a moment where I was like, I can do this, like this is gonna work. It was just like, I can't do this other thing anymore. Like I can't go into an office, clock in, and then go to lunch and clock out for 59 minutes and then clock back in. And so for me, like succeeding was like it was the only option. Like, and I was like, worst case scenario, I try to do this and I go back to working at the bank. Like I can't get mentally and in terms of not being fulfilled, I can't get lower than where I currently am. So the only way to go is up. So I was like, you know what? Let's just full send, throw myself at this. And I think like you see creatives a lot of times, they try to do their hobby or like a side hustle. And I always say that for me personally, I mean, it could be different for other people, but I do not believe in a side hustle. I believe in full hustle or no hustle. Like, I think you have to just like full send, because when you give yourself that I will not fail option, you figure it out and you find those solutions.
Right. I think in every venture that I've had, it was the same method, where I'm going to jump out of this plane and I'm going to build something on the way down, because it gives you a sense of urgency that I feel like if you approach it from a side hustle mentality, it has a higher probability of staying in that lane of it just being a side hustle, where when you leave and you have no safety net, you have a different you have a different urgency. It's gotta work. And plus you have the time freedom too, to really invest in it and cultivate it, where if you're somewhere, 8 hours a day, that's the majority of your time. And then you're drained and you want to just Netflix and just eat and just get prepped for the next day. So there's a different energy too. So, right. So you leave and you're painting and you're giving it away for free. I love the fact that you touched on that as well, because that's what comes along with it. We have to take significant price cuts. We have to do things for free. Like I know when I first got into speaking, and I was doing presentations, I would do a lot of presentations for free. I would just do things to get in the room for, for content and for visibility, or I do it in exchange for testimonials, even to showcase the fact that I am prepared. But there is a point where you're pivoting, right? You do it for free, you get your name out there, and then you start to charge what you're worth incrementally over time.
Exactly.
And builds too, because there's a little bit of imposter syndrome that likes to creep in there. Like, am I really as good as I think I am? Or maybe is my ego inflated? But then other people are like, no, you're amazing. You're like, okay.
No, there definitely is. Like, there were so many times that I questioned it. And then, when I got to a point from going from not charging, just building a portfolio, to raising my prices, and I still raise my prices every year. I reconsider, what we're pricing things. Do we feel like that's enough for the quality of work we're bringing and our experience and that kind of thing? And every time you do that, there is always that little bit of like, wait a second, will somebody pay this? Like, is somebody gonna, commit to working with me at this price? But then you have to remember that, you're bringing, the years of experience and, your ability to complete things efficiently, like just all different kinds of things, to the scenario. But yeah, there definitely was that element of the growth too, expanding and feeling confident in that expansion and confident in what you have to offer and put out there for people.
Yeah, not to mention the cost of materials, the inflation aspect of it too. Because the paint is not the same amount this year that it was 6 years ago, right? So we have to build that factor.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky that, with our job, our cost of materials is pretty low. So our profit margins are fairly high with muraling, because we're charging, for the skill and the labor and our ability to do that quickly. But materials definitely can be expensive once you start getting larger and larger walls, and you have to rent scissor lifts, boom lifts, you have to carry liability insurance, you have to have lift certification, all those things that, people don't factor in. And then you have, digital designs you have to make on the back end, the client communication, the Zoom meetings with clients, all of those things, like comprise the overall expense and the price of the mural.
100%. So walk me through an experience. Let's say I have an empty building and I want it to be jazzy and I have no idea what I want it to be. What is the process like with you guys?
Yeah, so typically when someone reaches out to us, we try to get a few bits of information from them, either via email, phone call, in person, or Zoom consultation. Basically what we need to get a quote from somebody is measurements of the wall. We price based on square footage, and then that range of square footage depends on things like complexity of the design, accessibility of the wall, like do we need a lift, do we need ladders, like what equipment do we need? And then texture of the wall as well, like is it brick or is it just straight sheetrock that's easy for us to paint on? So we will ask for measurements of the wall. We'll ask for a photo of the space because we'd like to see where the wall is located, if there's anything that could potentially like block what we're going to paint, or any hindrances to our ability to access the wall. And then after we do that, we'll give the people that have reached out to us, we'll give them a quote. And we usually give them a couple options, like a partial coverage, a full coverage. And then if they say, yes, that looks good, this is the options I want to go with, we then do a 50% deposit at the time of contract signing. And then we move on after we have that commitment to work with us. We then move on to talking about design ideas, and we have a design consultation meeting with the client, kind of get their ideas. We'll make 3 different designs and then go through some revision rounds with the client, and then we'll put the paint on the wall and get going. But usually that design round is the longest process. I always say that this job is like, 10% painting, 90% everything else, 90% doing the contracts, trying to find the client's vision, because we get a lot of clients that say, I don't know what I want. And so, you have to be like grasping for their ideas and showing them things. And then they see things and they're like, oh, now that I've seen this, I think I want this other thing. So you're trying to like make tangible the intangible, because sometimes people can't articulate, their vision of what they want. But typically when we go to paint, we're pretty fast once we get out there. It takes us about, I'd say 3 days is our sweet spot of installing a mural. Sometimes it can take us about a week. It just depends on the size.
Oh my goodness, that is so cool. So at this point in your life, is there anything that you still aspire to accomplish, or are you just living the dream?
I think I'm definitely living a dream, but I think that there's always room for growth. I'm not a person that likes to that's comfortable being comfortable. I always think that there's room to like grow and seek new experiences. So, we want to keep developing our company. We want to hire more people, make more of like a team of muralists. And then I'm trying to develop a nonprofit right now. We're doing Melt Charleston, which is our mural festival we're bringing to the Charleston area. And that's going to be in North Charleston. And it's going to bring in some muralists from all across the country and bring public art to a community in North Charleston, which we're really passionate about that as like a side project. That's something I've always, wanted to do is bring public art to places that I think are underserved, because public art is one of the most accessible art forms. You don't have to have an art degree or any money to go walk up to a mural and enjoy it or interpret it. So that's something that I've always been passionate about, and I'm excited this year to make it, come to fruition.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit more about Melt. So is it the type of thing where people can come up and watch you guys bring these murals to life in real time as you are painting them, or is it something where you guys are going to paint and then it's going to be like a reveal after everyone's completed? How is it going to go?
Yeah, so our festival itself will be September 11th through the 14th in North Charleston on Reynolds Avenue. And these artists will be there painting the 11th through the 14th, but there will be a live public event on the 13th, which is the Saturday, where people can come and interact with the artists. We're going to have art vendors, live music, some art activations for the children in the community, food trucks, that kind of thing. Anything we can do to kind of support the arts in that area. But people can certainly come out at any point during that time range and, kind of interact with the artists and see them actually installing the mural. Because I think that's part of the magic is seeing it come to life, go from, like you said earlier, from a blank canvas to just, something that's just incredible.
that transformation piece, right? That's what's
Mhm.
so exciting about it. And I'm sure it is for you too, to see just a brick wall or a sheetrock wall and it's plain or it's beige and it's crackling in some places. And then
Yes.
for you to take this blank canvas and turn it into something magical, I know that that is just so fulfilling to you.
It is so satisfying. It's like
Yeah.
it's amazing because like it just brings so much joy to people.
Oh, yeah.
Like having art, having color on the wall just brings so much joy. People come up to us while we're painting, and I love that. And like people have to stare at these walls. Like when we paint, you know, in businesses and offices or on the sides of buildings, people stare at these walls every single day. And they
Yes.
don't even think about it, but then you paint a mural on it, and it gives them something to think about, something to enjoy on their way to work or while they're at work or just on their daily commute. It just brings a little piece of joy to people, which we really like.
Oh my goodness. And you do murals all over because you're based in Charleston, but you said you've had jobs in Hilton Head. So what markets do you typically do your murals in?
Yeah, so I'd say like 60% of our work is in South Carolina. We are based in Charleston, but we get a lot of work in the surrounding areas like Columbia, Greenville, Myrtle Beach, like all over. But we work nationwide. We've done murals in California,
Wow.
Wisconsin, New York, Denver. We were just in Denver earlier this year. We really aren't confined by any geographical constraint. Like we will go paint wherever somebody will have us, but
Yeah.
we've been expanding a lot more to paint across the nation in the last couple of years. And I think that's because instead of just doing, social media, Google business, word of mouth, we've actually started applying for mural opportunities.
Mm.
There's a lot of things you can find opportunities on the internet that are RFQs, requests for qualifications, or RFPs, requests for proposals. And a lot
Mm.
of times that's how cities, townships, that kind of thing, that's how they have to seek mural bids. And so you can go apply to these things basically with a proposal package, your resumes, that kind of thing, and then get selected. And that's what we've been doing a lot. And it's allowed us to expand like the area that we work in. And a lot of times, we get rejected too. So it's definitely just kind of like throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. And you have to kind of just, take those rejections with a grain of salt and just keep moving because it's a numbers game for sure. But finding that and making that part of our business practice, like applying to opportunities instead of just waiting for them to come to us, has really changed the game in terms of the type of work that we get.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. I like that. So where do you find these opportunities for other people that's
Yeah.
interested in this
Yeah,
line?
so there's a few different platforms. One of them is like callforentry.com, and they list artist opportunities. There's another one called Lion and Rabbits that lists artist opportunities. Also, sometimes I just spend a couple hours every day, like once a week, not every day. But I'll search the opportunities on like Facebook. I'll search like mural RFQ and search through the posts that come up for that. I'll search Google, and then I make a spreadsheet essentially of the opportunities, the links to the applications, and organize them in terms of like when they're due, so that I
Mm,
can make that part of our regular business practice as reaching out
yeah.
and doing that kind of application.
Oh, that's good. It's a part of your
Yeah.
strategy at this point. So
Mhm.
that was great advice. But do you have any other advice for anybody out there, the entrepreneurs and the professionals that really don't love their job and they're just staring out the window like you were all those years ago,
Yeah. Yeah.
longing for something different? What do you tell those people?
Yeah, one of my like main pieces of advice to creatives and to other people as well is like don't set out to be like I'm gonna be self-employed and do this one exact thing and be stuck in that. I'd say allow yourself to pivot and grow where it takes you, because as I was saying earlier, like I didn't plan on doing murals. I was just like I want to do art full time. I don't care what type of art that is. But I see a lot of people now that they're like, oh, I'm gonna only do this one thing, and they don't allow themselves to naturally pivot as needed. And I think that stops them from succeeding sometimes because they don't just let that growth happen organically, and then they get stuck. So I definitely recommend, people letting themselves grow in that way. And then I also just recommend, like I said, don't make your side hustle your lifetime side hustle. Like
Yeah.
sometimes like you said, you need the sense of urgency, the fire under your butt, to
Yeah.
get you going. That fear of failure. It's like this or nothing.
Yeah.
Because I do see that a lot too, in particular with creatives, where they are like, oh, I'll paint when I get home, or I'll paint like later, and then it never they're not able to have that growth because, you know, it's secondary to whatever other job that they're doing.
Yeah, they're comfortable.
Yeah. And I hate that. I always say that. That's my like catchphrase at this point. I'm like, I hate, like, I would never be comfortable being comfortable. Like
Yeah.
I like being uncomfortable, and being uncomfortable, I think is the only way to grow. And I think, you know, people need to be able to experience that and sit with it. And a lot of people can't sit with discomfort. And
Yeah,
I think they should.
that's so true. And that's something that I actually sow into myself and my team about leadership, right? Is always elevating your consciousness and getting,
Mhm.
I'm to the point where I am comfortable with being uncomfortable because I'm always pressing my personal limits. I'm always getting out of the comfort zone. So now things that were scary to me, I know how to now harness that nervous
Mhm.
energy. Or, I tell a lot of, our community and my team is that feeling that we feel, we started to interpret it in our adulthood as anxiety. When we used to say it, we were excited. So we
Yeah.
need to get back to that space of leaning into the joy and the excitement when we're
Mhm.
doing something fresh and new
That's
and
so true.
scary.
Yeah, I've never heard anyone put it like that, that it used to be excitement and now it's anxiety. And
Yeah.
like that's perfect. I think that like that sums it up to a T. Like people do experience it as anxiety when they should be like, this is an opportunity, you know, to do something different and be excited, like you said. I love that.
Yes, it's so true. Well,
Mhm.
fantastic. And our last question is, what is your favorite snack, Allison?
Ooh, my favorite snack. Well, I'm outside sweating all the time, so I love a salty snack. Um, any type of chips and dip are my favorite. But
Oh,
lately, I have been on a kick of the hot sauce flavored goldfish. That's my
hot,
favorite pancake
hot
snack.
sauce flavored goldfish. I haven't
Yes,
even.
they're red hot goldfish.
They're
They're
good.
amazing. Yes.
And you're eating them when you get home, I assume, right? You're not eating them when you're out
I
painting.
mean, sometimes I'll be painting and just goldfish.
Oh my goodness, I
Yes.
love it. Well, tell everybody how they can find you, Allison.
Yeah, you can find our mural festival, Melt Charleston, at www.meltcharleston.com, and that's Melt, MELT, Melt Charleston. And then Girls Who Paint is Girls Who Paint Murals on Instagram, or www.gwpmurals.com.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, this is the portion of the podcast where we pray, you guys. And I understand if everyone watching is not a person that prays, but as for me and this podcast, we pray.
I love it.
So I am going to close out with prayer. Are you ready, Allison?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Dear God, we humbly come before you on this day, and we thank you for this opportunity to connect, to empower everyone listening, to empower Allison and her business and her partner, and the skills that you have blessed her with to paint and bring so many people across our country joy with the beauty that she creates, how she cultivates this in people's minds, how she turns something so mundane into something so absolutely glorious. I bless her hands, Lord God. I thank you for giving her the courage to step out and be as great as she is. I thank you for aligning her with somebody who is so amazing and really sows into her and gives her the opportunity to be a leader and gives her the opportunity to cultivate leadership back and forwards, making each other great in what it is that they do. I thank you for this time and this space and for everyone that this message touches. And I hope that it does what you intended to do, Lord God, which is to empower, inspire, and motivate your people to move in the spirit and understand their personal power and be blessed that you are behind them in every move that they make. I pray these things according to the character and identity of Christ. Amen.
Amen. That was beautiful. Thank you so much for having me and for your kind words. I am so grateful to, you know, talk about what we're doing. So I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me about what we do.
Absolutely. And I'm so excited to go to Melt. I will definitely be there. I will be there
Yeah.
with my husband and my two little girls. I know they're going to absolutely love it
Yes.
because they're very artistic spirits too.
Oh, I
But
love it.
thank you so much for spending
Mhm.
time with us today, Allison.
Yeah.
Goodbye, everybody. I'll see
Bye.
you
Bye.
Thursday.